It is an enigma wrapped in a mystery.
That's right. It has been puzzling the Arklatex for nearly 50 years. That is half a century, folks. And we're talking about a case that involves one man. We're talking about Jim Leslie. Tonight, KTBS 3's Jeff Beimfohr here to explain. Jeff?
Well, this one's very convoluted for sure, guys. It's been nearly 5 decades since the murder of Shreveport advertising executive Jim Leslie in July of 1976, and the case has never been solved. Now, a pair of cold case detectives assigned by Caddo Sheriff Henry Whitehorn are trying to do just that. As part of our KTBS 70 for 70 series, we review Leslie's murder and explore what's happened over the last 50 years. The killing occurred in Baton Rouge just hours after passage of a controversial right-to-work legislation, which Leslie heavily promoted. Leslie was killed by a shotgun blast in the parking lot of his Baton Rouge hotel.
A statewide investigation has been launched in an effort to determine Leslie's killer. Although police in Baton Rouge are spearheading the effort, a detective told me that, for now at least, the investigation is centered here in the Shreveport area. And that same officer told me that there may be a break in the case before the end of the month.
In July 1976, Elliot Stonecipher, a colleague of Leslie's, accompanied his body back to Shreveport. Stonecipher and future Governor Buddy Roemer worked with Leslie, and Stonecipher recounted the story of a phone call with then powerful Public Safety Commissioner George Dartois concerning money owed to Leslie for work on a Dartois election campaign.
He turned around and stopped and looked at us and then dropped his head. And that's exactly what he said. The man's going to have me killed.
Dartois attempted to pay Leslie with city funds, and Leslie refused, demanding he be paid with campaign money. The Caddo Parish District Attorney was convinced Dartois had a gambling problem and was compromised, indicting Dartois, and Leslie was supposed to be the DA's star witness.
I found out over time that there were so many aspects of what happened. I just kept trying to match all that up with what I experienced from literally the night that he was killed. It seemed that there was no end to how many new pieces of information, or at least people talking who hadn't before.
Dartois never went to trial on attempted theft charges, dying in June of 1977 after heart surgery. 3 months after Leslie's death, this man, Rusty Griffith, an underworld figure in Shreveport, who investigators believe was present when Leslie was murdered, was killed north of Baton Rouge.
I kept finding documents and talking to people and finding new questions and talking to people, and it's gone on really all this time.
Currently, the cold case cops are looking into 81-year-old, 4-time confessed murderer Larry Thompson. Already in prison, Thompson has offered to tell investigators what happened in the Leslie killing in return for leniency for his imprisoned son. But there's a catch-22. Skeptical acting U.S. Attorney Alexander Van Hook, who got a reduction in the son's federal case more than 8 years ago, won't grant further concessions without specifics up front from Thompson, who won't talk until he gets them. Van Hook declined to comment on his refusal to negotiate with Thompson, and currently that's where the case stands.
We have so much information that has gathered in all these decades. It turned Jim Leslie's murder into something totally and completely different to me. But in the real world, it wasn't, because these were all things that came from George Dartois having the power he had as Commissioner of Public Safety.
According to Stonecipher, Leslie's murder was the crime of the century in Shreveport, changing the city for the worse. He added that Leslie knew the promise of good government and died believing in it. You can find much more on the unsolved murder of Jim Leslie at ktbs.com.
Wow, what an amazing story.
It really is.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet.